the first thing first is that I learn how to not create a situation where my superiors have to do a bunch of damage control. You know, you learn ways how to deliver the message in a way such that it's accurate, it's effective, and you don't have to find ways for your superiors to do a bunch of damage control. In a nutshell, this 2-day workshop was really interesting. I enjoyed myself, and I learned a whole lot.
The concepts that you will learn here, you think you can put them into place like immediately, or there are things that have to come in that you have to do before you can use what you learned here?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I could start immediately. For example, when he talked about creating a list, a checklist, and whereby if a crisis does occur, you just fill in the blanks. Those are things that we could work on immediately.
So what would you like to say to Mr. John Rose then at the end of this 2-day workshop?
Mr. John Rose did a fantastic job as a facilitator. I never seen one like him that's so enthusiastic, and you know, he added a little humor. He found ways to get the audience involved. You know, crowd participation. He's excellent as a facilitator. If I was a facilitator, I would want to be under his training.
Ms. Glasgow, you were a guinea pig several times throughout this workshop. You were used on numerous occasions to help illustrate points and to actually participate in a live in-class interview. What are your thoughts about the process, about sitting in that chair? What were your feelings when you heard the questions being asked? What was going through your mind?
Greatly appreciated the experience, and I think at first it may have felt a little bit that I was on the firing squad, on the other end of one. But you know, I began to realize that this is the kind of training that is necessary. Sometimes it's really good to sit in the hot seat so that you can know what not to do. And I think that's what coming out of this workshop is ideally what will stick with me.
What do you remember most from the entire 2 days?
I in fact remember a lot, surprisingly, because I don't retain that much. But I would say what really will replay in my mind is the issue of preparation. You know, preparing. Then, of course, once we prepare that message, it's all about practicing that message. And then, of course, we have to focus on the presentation of that message. And of course, after all is said and done, providing an update on the situation. I think I just listed 4 P's. And it's because of all that repetition is what really has helped me to kind of stick with that particular script. So that's the script that I'm going to take with me on my job, and of course even in my personal situation. He listed the fact that we do in fact have personal crises as well. So it'll be good to see how that can play out for me and how I can put that into practice.
So what would you like to tell Mr. John Rose regarding his illustration of you to demonstrate a number of key concepts, and just as relates to the information that you learned being part of this workshop?
Johnson, I appreciate it. And I know you'll be a dare and not play that terrible interview of me the first time around about, you know. But I really do appreciate it, and I think that I really will come out of this workshop, or have come out of this workshop, a better communicator.
The most important thing that I learned in these 2 days training was how to prepare a message, to make it effective, to make it short, to speak the truth, and to step by step speaks what we have done to solve the problem. And in case if we haven't solved the problem, what we have to do, or what our intentions will be to solve the problem. What we do, what we cannot do to alleviate. And even if we cannot solve the problem, to contact the relative agencies to help us with the situation.
And how the content that was disclosed over these past 2 days, can you use that in your day-to-day duties over in Jasmine?
Here's the thing, how important this workshop was is that even in ministry you could use it. You could use it in your daily basis, you could use it in your business, you could use it in the streets, you could use it in your community. It was such an important workshop that I think a lot of people should be able to get this beneficial workshop because you could implement it in all sort of areas.
The crisis communications workshop was, in my opinion, very implemental. A good majority of us here represent the tourism industry, and this provided us all with the insight and the knowledge needed to address situations as they could potentially affect us and our image of the British Virgin Islands, whether it's a natural disaster, crime, anything that could potentially hurt our image. And I think Mr. Johnson provided a thorough, a comprehensive 2-day workshop that covered many, many topics that people will be able to take away from this workshop to know how to respond in those matters.
My thoughts about it basically are that it was necessary and it was good because there were quite a few essential people in here learning this stuff. Of course there are more, but some person that needed to get it got it and they understood it. So now it's just a matter of applying it to their daily jobs.
And what do you remember most?
Preparation. And if in the event of a crisis, owning up to it, being truthful, be the first one to get the message out there so you can control it and not have the media control it. There are a lot of different stuff I remember, but those are the ones that stick out mostly.
That's great, that's great. And you said it was a good group who came today who got to benefit from Mr. John Rose's presentation.
Yes.
How many of the concepts can you immediately implement in your work dealing with?
Oh, like on day one, we did more stuff with media, and when a lot of things are happening with like events, whether it be festivals or anything generally, the media when they see you and they know that I am a part of the tourist board, they tend to start asking you questions. So if I know the answers to those questions, then I may give an answer, or then I might just defer them to the necessary persons. So on day one when we were taught about dealing with the media, that stuff I can implement directly into my job as of tomorrow.
Excellent.
As of today.
Excellent. So in closing now, if you had to say something to Mr. John Rose for providing such a spectacular lecture for us, a workshop I should say, what would it be?
Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your information, for sharing your knowledge, and for doing it so enthusiastically.
I thought this workshop was a splendid opportunity to refresh my skills as a communications officer with the government, to learn how to be more effective in doing my job, in communicating on a whole with the media, internally, externally. I got a lot of information, a lot of content as relates to my competencies and how to build them, how to strengthen them, how to develop them, and how to be just a more effective communicator.
That's great. Tell me, in the event of a crisis, what would you do right now?
Well, you need to respond quick. You need to tell the truth, say it fast, care, show concern. You need to connect with your audience. You must act. Say what you know, say what you don't know. And you just be honest and open and caring about your message. Have your talking points, come back to your talking points, answer all the questions, cover your bases.
And now do you feel that you're more prepared for a crisis?
Definitely. Being armed with this information is like ammunition. I now know. Hopefully, I don't have many more crises, but since I'm assigned to the Ministry of Education and Culture, I see crisis in the future. So yeah, I'm definitely more comfortable in what I can do now that I have this knowledge on how to handle crisis or just how to communicate more effectively.
That's good to know. Do you have any special messages for Mr. John Rose?
Well, I just want to tell him thanks for taking the time to come here. I do want a one-on-one session with Mr. John Rose, and I would even like to be assigned to work with him because I think there's so much more to be gained, and just to be exposed to that and to see how to handle yourself in different situations and how to be more effective, be have more competencies, how to just be a better communicator, because this is what I want to do for the long run, and I really want to be the best at what I do.